Folks, it is that time of year where we look into the future. We are, I don't know, about 10 days or so away from 2024. I thought an interesting discussion between Jonathan and I would be to talk about, hey, if we were a new real estate investor, if we were, maybe sitting down with family over the holidays and somebody asked you, what should I do to get ready? I thought Jonathan and I could play the game of ping pong where he talks about getting started in commercial real estate. I will talk about getting started in residential on two or three things that we would tell our friends and family over the holidays. Jonathan, you are the guest. Somebody corners you at a holiday party, family dinner, and says, "Jonathan, I want to do what you do. I want to get started." What are the first couple of things, or what's the first thing you would tell them to do?
I mean, I think the first thing that they should do is go get a good book on the topic and start reading up on how you buy apartment buildings and what you need to know. And obviously, something like that is going to be very high level.
Yep.
But I think whenever you start out, you need to have the overview of the landscape to
Sure.
understand the
Okay.
the big moving parts. So that if you're literally starting from nothing, that is the place I would start.
Do you have a book recommendation off the top of your head?
Oh gosh. It's been such a long time since I actually read a book on the topic
Yeah.
that
Yeah. You've been actually doing the deals. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, in terms of uh reading a book on the topic of how to do deals, I mean, I remember that Ken McElroy had
Yeah. There you
a
go.
couple of good
ABCs, I think it was
yeah,
called.
I think that's Ken McElroy would be a good place to start just to
Yeah,
get an
I think
overview.
that's fair. I've talked with
Yeah.
Ken McElroy a couple of times. I was on his show. I think starting with something with Ken McElroy is an and again, you're gonna get the framework. You're gonna understand at least the big puzzle pieces, and then the next thing I would tell them is call me after you're done reading it. Just we're not talking about anything else until you read the book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, then come back and talk to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I guess the first thing I would tell a family or a friend at dinner is I would ask them. I think I would ask them why.
Mm,
Because again, I think a lot of people, and again, I say this because I've talked to thousands of people now over the last 20 years, and some of their whys, I call them shooting stars. Why is that? Because they're all hot and bothered and then they're gone in a minute. Um, I'd want to really know what their why is. Um, right? Do I get the feeling it's about the quick money? Is it that what excites? Is it the big dollar, that excites them, or do they at least have a framework that this is gonna be at least a 10-year journey? Because I think wealth comes from owning assets long term, not, not in a minute, not in a day, not in a year. So I think I would probably try to check their framework, and I still do this to this day. I avoid shooting stars. It's just a complete waste of my time. I just shut down the conversation and move on. But if they've got some thought that this will be a journey and, one a year, one every 2 years, shoot, one every 4 years, I will continue that conversation. So I think that's where I would start. Where do you go next, Jonathan, after the book recommendation?
yeah, I would say, um, probably after the book recommendation, I mean, I've sort of got if we're limiting it to sort of 3 steps, um, I would trying to decide which would be 2 and which would be 3. I think it's probably a really good idea to start talking to other people who are in the business,
Mm,
right? Or who have
yep.
done it before. And so you've got the book, right? You kind of have the high level overview,
Mhm.
then start going to talking to people about, well, what does it actually take? Like what have you actually had to do to get, say, your first deal, right?
Right.
What were all the pieces, right? And you know, what was the hardest thing and what were the mistakes you made? I think that starting to talk with people who are really actually doing it or who really have actually done it
Mhm.
is also a really necessary then like next sort of critical step of your education after you've read a couple of books on the topic.
Yeah. One thing I would highly recommend, and you and I did not really have this when we started our journey, was I would actively look for Facebook groups to join.
Mm.
And you run an amazing one, which I'm a part of, which I look at certainly weekly. What is that? Because if somebody's really thinking about this, they should be joining your Facebook group. What is it?
The Apartment Investors Club.
Great name, Apartment
Yeah.
Investors Club. Go join that Facebook. Answer the questions. Tell him you came from one rental at a time to thank him for his time. That'd be great. All right, so I think my next question, talking about residential, would be, where are they thinking? I think I would probably go there next, right? Are they talking backyard? Do they have an idea? Are they saying things like, I don't care, I just want a deal? Like, are they infatuated with out of state? Because I do live in California, so that'll be where my parties are. Are they going out of state because they think it's cheap, right? What is their kind of mindset on where they want to go? And some things are red flags, kind of back to the shooting star. If they start talking about some out of state market because it's cheap, that's a red flag to me because you can go broke buying cheap. Um, I would actually rather have somebody that comes to me and goes, I don't know where I want to go. I think that's a better place to start than, hey, I want to go to Detroit because I hear you could buy a home for $1,
Mm.
right? Again, back to kind of the whole get rich quick, it's easy kind of idea. So I'd probably start digging into where they thinking to invest just to see if they have a bias or not would be my number two. This is fun. Maybe we'll do three or four. So let's do at least one more and we'll see if you have a fourth after that.
Yeah, so I think the next thing that I would then, once they've read a book, they kind of have the overview, they've talked to a bunch of people about what's actually involved in the process. Then I think they should really start to think hard about which piece of the process they want to own, right?
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Because it is, you know, you can buy sort of small multifamilies on your own like you could with single families. But if you start getting into bigger commercial properties, it gets really hard to do this on your own because and especially if you want to build a business out of this, but even if you don't, it gets really hard to do this if you're trying to do it all by yourself. And everybody that I know who's successful at this business has partners. And you can't be partners with somebody if you all want to do the same thing, right?
Mhm.
It's like if you're on the boat and you both want to like, you know, hold the tiller and there's nobody rowing, right? You're not going to get anywhere. Or if you all want to row on the same side of the boat, right? You're just going to go around in circles, right? So you have to figure out where it is that you fit into this process. And that's like, you have to be honest with yourself about that, right? Because I think what a lot of people do, and certainly I did this at first, is A, think I could do it all by myself. And then B, think that, that I could kind of force myself to do the things that didn't really fit well with my personality, right? So if you're, if, for example, if you're an introvert, you're going to be much happier looking at spreadsheets and doing deal analysis than you are going to be out there talking with investors and trying to raise money and vice versa. If you're extroverted, you're just you're going to want to be talking to people and not stuck behind a desk all day. If you're like a big picture person, getting into the minute details of stuff is going to drive you crazy. But if you're like a really detailed process oriented person, you may not even really think about the big picture that much. And you really have to be very honest with yourself about which piece of this you want to own, and be honest with yourself about whether you want to own any of the pieces, right? So after you have gone through a book, or hopefully more than one, and talk to a number of people who are actually doing it, I think you need to be really honest with yourself about whether you're willing to put in the work to do it, right? So, and if so, then which piece are you going to own? And then, like, the next piece would be then trying to find people who complement you, right?
I
So,
think, yeah.
yeah.
I think that is a why. I mean, and if your three steps make perfect sense to me, right? You go out there, you read a book, you get involved with networks of folks that are already doing it, and then you kind of at that point go, which puzzle piece to go back to that do I want, and how do I snap together with others not like me?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty wise advice. On the residential side, kind of talking, kind of going through the first three steps, making sure they're not a shooting star, where they want to go. I think I got to go back to the basics of one rental at a time now and kind of educate them on what a buy box is.
Mm.
Because most new investors kind of suffer from the butterfly or squirrel or shiny object, right? They're excited and they're just looking at everything all the time.
Yeah.
That is not a way to make forward progress. So I would probably pull out a sheet of paper. I would tell them what my buy box was in, 2002. And I would tell them, go get a buy box, somewhere between 20 and 40 active listings. look at that buy box and that buy box only for 90 days, track everything, and see if you can figure out what an average deal is, right? And with that, once you know average, you're dangerous. Once you know average, you can adjust your offers, you can adjust the value to get good or great deals. But you can't do that just, hey, hey, Mike, I just got my, my bonus check and I've got 50K burning a hole in my pocket. I want to go buy something just to be in the game. I hate that. I mean, I hear that all the time, right? It's like college tuition. I might lose money, but I got to buy something. I'm like, really? That's what we're doing these days? So I would probably in my step 3 get really focused on how to learn, right? It's like a golf swing. How do you repeat it? How do you repeat it and go from there? I think that might be number 3. Do you want a bonus number 4, or do you think you've covered a good
Yeah,
start?
no, well, I mean, that's a great place
Okay.
to start, but I think also, so then the next step really would be, like figure out, I guess now it'd be sort of for me starting to define kind of like your buy box, right?
Okay.
Like, where do you want to invest? Like, figure out how to, get some tools on how you select a market, and the market could be in your backyard, right? But you should go about this analytically as opposed to just saying, well, my backyard is, I should invest in my backyard. That may be a good
Right.
place to invest, but make
Maybe.
sure it really is. And and then be realistic about what you're going after. I mean, can't tell you how many times I have seen people make fools of themselves
Mhm.
by going into a Facebook group and saying something like, "Oh, I just found this 300 unit deal, right? It's it's only $30 million, and like I'm going to try to take it down." First of all, acting as if like they just found it, like nobody had seen this deal before.
Yeah.
Be
Days
like,
on market 817. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I got it from a broker. Like, yeah, the broker's website you got it from, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and not only that, but like, okay, do you have a net worth of $20 million or so that you can use for the debt? Like, how are you going to get the other 10 million? Is it just because somebody told you, like, if you find a great deal, the
Money
money
shows
will
up.
find you? Do you
Yeah.
even know it's a great deal? Why did a broker show this to you? You've never even closed anything, right? So I see this happen all the time, where I see somebody post a deal. Somebody yesterday posted in a Facebook group, it was something crazy. It was like, I'm looking for new build Class A deals at an 8 cap,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, I just resisted so hard. I mean, I have a new, like, just not commenting on
Not
Facebook,
engaging.
not engaging, but it was just like, and I think everybody else, like nobody, it just, there was a day when like you'd have 100 people pile on that person, right? I think now everybody is like exercising restraint because
Mm.
nobody commented on this, but it was just like, where on earth did this person get this idea that they were going to be able to buy like Class A multifamily for at an 8 cap? I mean, you can't
Just
buy
so
anything
people
at an
yeah, you can't get, yeah, just so people realize, what do you think a reasonable cap rate is on a class A today new build, like 4.5, 4,
Yeah,
four and a
right
half?
now it really depends on the market, but I mean, I am seeing it as high as potentially 6%
Okay.
in
All
some
right.
places. However, 8 caps, I mean, it's just ridiculous, the idea that you're going to get
Yeah.
an 8
That's,
cap and
I mean,
more.
that's just so people realize that's a 25% reduction
Yeah,
in
in
value,
price.
because
Yeah,
the 2 point, that's just a massive
yeah,
delta. They don't
yes.
understand sometimes.
It's
Yeah.
just, and in some markets, you're still talking fours, right?
Yeah. That's
For,
what I've seen. Fours,
so
four, maybe 4.5.
yeah, in California for sure, it's going to
Yeah.
be a 4, right? So
Yeah.
with a 4 handle on it, right? So
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
this is just like an utterly, like, don't make a fool of yourself. Like,
Yeah.
figure out where you want to buy, and then what, like you said,
This is exactly why
analyze
I
the
tell,
market.
this is why I tell people to go figure out average.
Yeah,
Right? This person, I don't know who they are. If they would have done the work in the discipline, they would have figured out an average class A building, maybe in their market's 5.8. Well, great. If you think average is 5.8, then go find a 6.1,
yeah,
right? When you're using cap rates as the variable, a small change could be a big drop in value.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is clearly somebody who learned a little bit, but not
Mhm.
enough, right? So
Right.
they probably heard somebody say, you know, the higher the cap rate, the more money you make. And also, you don't want to invest in properties that are too old because there's too much deferred
Yeah,
maintenance, and the tenants are too unreliable. So they put those two things together and like, oh, okay, well, I should buy Class A and I need
yeah,
to buy it at an 8 cap. So who's got a
yeah.
Class A deal at an 8 cap that they're gonna, just because I posted in a Facebook group, they're gonna tell me about it, right? So
That's funny.
yeah, so don't be that person.
Yeah, and I'll just pile on. One of the big things that I think new investors can do in residential, kind of back, I think it was to your number two, was try to take on the challenge of meeting two new people a week.
Hmm,
One of the things I would tell new investors is, and I did completely wrong, is the first 3 to 5 years I lived in my spreadsheet all alone in my hotel room,
hmm.
right? Get out and meet people. And today with social media and Zoom and all these online stuff, get yourself out there. Be engaging, be inquisitive, be helpful if you can, and good karma will help out. I think getting to meet more and more people. So again, I think there's lots of opportunities in 2024. I am actually more excited about 24 than I was 23. It's kind of how I see it. Jonathan, thoughts on wrapping us up, and where can people find you?
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple of things to wrap up. I totally agree on that meeting people piece, and I also agree on how excited I am about the market. Somebody tagged me on LinkedIn the other day. They posted and then they tagged, like, I'm tagging all my multifamily bears in this. Because I want your feet, want your reflection on this. And so my comment was like, I'm not a bear anymore. I was a bear at
Yeah,
the top of the market. Now I'm
yeah,
getting really excited, right?
yeah.
It's
I
hard to
like it.
find
Out of
deals
hibernation.
yeah, it's hard to find deals, but I mean,
That's
like,
okay.
I'm a
I
whole
don't mind
lot more.
hard.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I'm a whole lot more interested in buying deals now than I was in 2021, or frankly even
me too.
2019,
Me
right?
too.
So uh the bears are the people who were all like gung ho to buy at super low cap rates at the top of the market, and now they're upset, right?
Yeah, they're not
Because
only bears, they're injured bears because they can't come back. Yeah, they're done.
yeah. So, but anyway, on that thought, I do want to say, something I haven't mentioned on the show before is that
Mhm.
I'm now running a monthly meetup in New York City. So,
Oh, there
yes.
you go.
So if you want to come and meet me during the meetup and meet other
Yeah.
people who are in the business, then come join my email list and you'll get the invite. So, or you can go join the Facebook group, Apartment Investors Club, or you can come to apartmentinvestorsclub.com and get my free download, and that'll get you on my email list. Then, so if you're in the New York City area or planning on being in New York at any time and you think you might be able
Yeah.
to hit the meetup while you're here, then, by all means, I'd love to meet you. And, we had a great
Yeah,
one
you
the
know
other
what,
day.
Jonathan?
Yeah.
Jonathan, something you and I should talk about doing, maybe sometime late Q1, early Q2, is we'll plan a session for me to come to the meetup and
Oh
talk.
yeah.
That way I could come out and see my daughter.
Yeah.
She's in New York, and I would have a business reason for the airline tickets. That would be
And
fun.
well, I'll give you another one. October 19th, 2024,
Okay.
conference. Again, we're doing our
Ah,
conference again. This time it will be at the Harvard Club of New York City.
nice.
And
Okay.
it is a limited thing this time because I think the max we can seat is 150 people.
Oh, there we
So
go.
it means realistically about only 125 tickets are going to be available for this after, sponsors and
Hmm.
speakers and stuff. So mark your calendars now if you
There you
would like
go.
to join me at the Harvard Club of New York City on October 19th, 2024.
Very cool. Jonathan, amazing. Happy holidays. Merry
You
Christmas.
too?
All that
Absolutely.
good
Same
stuff.
to you. Yep.
Thank you.